Hey guys, Kim with that response. So, first off, the code you mentioned specifically covers commercial vehicles in the state of Texas. Um, the code that covers non commercial vehicles is 545.351 and .352. A Reader's Digest synopsis of that one is a speed in excess to limits in section B or under a separate provision shall be unlawful unless a special hazard is in place under 545.351C, I believe. And what that means is a special provision would be a storm, windstorm, um, uh, twister, something like that. If you have to run, there ain't no speed limits. No cop rightfully can ticket you for that. Uh, what it further says, the following speed limits shall be considered lawful: 30 in an urban environment, um, or 45 in a non-commercial or non. Uh, God, I lost a word. Incorporated area, or 15 miles an hour in an alley. And it's, I want to say in Texas, 70 miles on a highway numbered by TSP or the state highway system, or the federal highway system. Um, Now, you also said the right to travel was part of the Bill of Rights. Uh, that's not quite correct. It's actually part of the Privileges and Immunities Clause of the Constitution, and originally it wasn't part of that clause. Um, what happened was sometime back, I don't know when, uh, this guy from Pennsylvania went into New Jersey to like go for crawdads or crabs or clams or something, with the intent of taking them back and selling them in his restaurant. He crossed the state line, and New Jersey troopers tried to levy a fine on him for taking stuff out of New Jersey into Pennsylvania for commercial purposes. And the Supreme Court said, no, 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 we're going to, that's covered under the clause. That's the highway system is federal and everybody has access to it. So, speed limits are a touchy thing. I believe that everybody's car is their personal property. You pay for it, you own it. Um, and ideally, you should be able to operate it any way you please. But we choose to live in communities and cities and stuff, and we have to share that space with other people. So it's not unreasonable for municipalities to establish laws to keep everybody safe. Um, it's easy to say, hey, I can drive my car fast. I'm a great driver. Okay? But I've heard that from a lot of guys while I was putting them in handcuffs and going over to watch paramedics scrape a kid's bike off the kid and his bike off the street. There's no worse feeling than taking a broken bike to some kid's parents. It fucks your day, to put it lightly. So there are some reasonable rules that can be put in place that are just for the good of everybody. Period. Now, as far as registration and licensing goes, this is my view on that. I think every person has the right to operate a motor vehicle. That's what I feel. And that right shouldn't be infringed until you do something that says you're an asshole. If you drive drunk, I'm sorry, driving drunk makes you an asshole. Period. To get in a 3,000-pound death machine and drive in an impaired manner and put people at risk, that's as bad as putting your gun on when you're drunk. It ain't proper. It ought not be done. Now, going on, drunk driving, if you're a pedophile, any crime against the public trust. I think once you've committed one of those crimes, then you should be forced to be licensed and your vehicle should be registered. Because at that point, law enforcement needs to know who you are. Before that, though, I don't know. I just don't agree with the whole registration process. There just ain't a need. Joe Citizen, which is 80% of the people out there, aren't breaking the law. Period. Once you choose to break the law by being a drunk driver, a pedophile, or a gang member, or something like that, you know what? Then you should have to be licensed. Now, speaking of roadside inspections, I don't agree with them in any way, shape, or form. Having to get out of your car and walk that 52 feet from the back of that trailer to that cab is no man's land. People don't see you. I've almost been hit a couple times. So, yeah, I don't agree with it. Inspections should only be done at the weigh station, period, where it can be safely done. And logically, that's the best place to do your inspection. Because most weigh stations are near a truck stop, so if it's something stupid like a light or a line or something, you're already off the road, you can fix it and get about your business. So yeah, we totally agree on that point. Speaking to sloppy police work, the case you talked about was the mistaken identity thing. Now, the Louisiana versus Texas warrants, Comstock Act covers that, period. I know it's the bounty hunter law, but cops use it too. So, beyond that though, the case you cited was sloppy police work. It was the whole, they all look the same. And that just doesn't work. I think the big difference I've seen, I'm actually in the process of going back through and redoing my post because I want to go back to work. When I did my academy originally in 2000, a week of the course was ethics. And now ethics is like a waiver you sign. You promise you'll be ethical. And it's nice to think that ethics are something we all just know, but it's not the case. Sometimes ethics is something you have to be taught. Period. The other problem I see with law enforcement today is there's two kinds of people that want to be a cop. There are sheepdogs, and there's the guy that got his ass kicked too many times in the locker room and wants to get back at the world. And unfortunately, some of those guys get through. But natural selection will generally take care of them. Just the way it is. Now, a lot of people tout these cops, these cop watch sites and stuff like that. And here's the thing. Speaking from personal experience, what these sites do is take 15 seconds of video and try to make you look like a monster. In 2004, I was involved in a fight, and somebody, pulled out a camera and videoed it, and it looked pretty rough. I mean, the point they got it at, it looked pretty rough. I mean, he was campaigning for an ass whooping, and he got my vote. What they saw was him run into a courtyard of an apartment complex, me run up behind him and tackle him and bite him into a pair of handcuffs. And yeah, I hit him a few times, and what they didn't see was that 3 blocks away, this guy tried to pull an old woman through the safety window at the convenience store she was working at and broke her arm for a pack of Black and Milds and a 40-ounce beer that she couldn't sell him because he couldn't provide ID. Everything's perception, guys. And that's just the facts of the matter. Everything is perception. I think that a big part of this problem in our country is we've all become too spoiled. And we think we should get things just because. But some things should be earned. Some things should be a right. I agree. If I go out and buy my horse, I can ride that horse anywhere I damn well please. Is there that much of a difference between a horse and a car? No. I should be able to drive my car where I damn well please until I violate the public trust. And then I should be forced to be licensed. Because at that point, law enforcement needs to know who I am. So that's my opinion on the whole licensing and that thing. There's been a lot of things over the last few years that have happened that have been very critical from the police side of things. One, for instance, the sovereign citizen folks like to jump on is there. I can't remember the fellow's name. There was this guy in Louisiana who was shot and killed by the police, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, he had a permit. He could have that gun in his car." Well, here's the problem with that. The permit he had was 10 years old, and since the time he had been issued that permit, he had been charged as a pedophile. He was a felon, so his permit was invalid. I'm sorry, there's some things, if you do them, you don't get the right to have guns or things like that. He resisted the police. He got shot. He's a baby fucker. I'm not going to cry over him. Sorry. On the flip side of that, you got the handling of the Freddie Gray case. My personal opinion, when I put you in handcuffs and I put you in my car, you are my responsibility. And I'm going to make sure you're safe the entire time you're in my custody. The way those officers handled that situation was unacceptable. Nobody should die in police custody. Period. Custody is not detention. If I got you detained and you do something dumb like pull a knife on me or go to pull a gun on me, sorry. Brief pause. Sorry about that, UPS. Anyway, going forward, Ferguson. Sorry, justified shooting, all the way. You try to take my gun, you're gonna die. I don't care. You attack me, you're either gonna get that ass whooped or possibly die. I'm going home every night. My babies will never, ever, ever have to wonder if daddy's coming home, because daddy's gonna fight every time to come home. Just the way it is. Trayvon Martin, I'm 50-50 on that. He was an asshole. Zimmer was an asshole. I mean, I think that's just survival of the fittest. You know, the smartest dumbass survived, I guess. Yeah. And two, backing up a little bit. Now, the Privileges and Immunities Clause is very commonly misquoted under the Articles of Confederation and the Maritime Travel Law, which guaranteed travel uninfringed by a caravan or it was caravan or military party. The Articles of Confederation aren't law anymore. They're not. Technically, there is a minor clause to that. In the reestablished Constitution of 1861, the Confederate States did revise those laws and put them into effect. But that was mostly for the purpose of the transport of military goods, farm equipment, and slaves. So it's important to note that there is a difference between the Privileges and Immunities Clause and the aforementioned Articles of Confederation. You can't just like invent laws. That's what a lot of these people try to do. I think the worst example of bad law I've seen is Black's Law Dictionary. It is a collection of insipid inaccuracy and poor revision. And it does the community as a whole a disservice. Go down to your local community college, go to your college bookstore, and in 90% of your college bookstores, you can find a $12 flip book copy of your state code. It's abridged, it's easy to read, get that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in comments or jump back in video, whatever's easiest for you, buddy. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I think on most points we agree. I do believe that a lot of it's right until you do something stupid, then you have to earn that right back by having it as a privilege. And I think that commercial drivers, there should be some revisions on the way we enforce the law on them. I think specifically targeting people who drive for a living is just unethical. I agree with you. So honestly, we agree on most of these points. think the whole point of the meme, the whole firefighters get called and paramedics get called and cops drive around looking for trouble. Well, yeah, it's their job, looking for trouble. You want to see cities where cops don't drive around looking for trouble? Chicago, Detroit, Oakland, Richmond, Fort Worth, Dallas. Let's see, St. John Baptiste, Birmingham, Mobile. I mean, there's tons of cities. Miami, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Wilkes-Barre, Binghamton. Let's see, Buffalo, Fresno, Los Angeles, Sacramento. I mean, these are cities where large portions of them aren't policed properly. And look what you get. I mean, Detroit looks like a war zone. Yeah, it's not for me. So, yeah, I want my police officers out there looking for those problems. The sad thing is, most of the time, it ain't like the TV shows. You know, that shit where you drive down and you look down the alley and you see the guy ducking behind something conspicuous. No. 90% of the time, we're coming after it happened. The majority of our interactions are stopping contact or traffic stops. And yes, traffic stops, you're right, are largely about making money for the community, which I'm also tossed up on. On one hand, I don't want to be taxed to pay for police because taxation is theft. But on the other hand, they deserve to make a living and should be paid to do it. So they have to have a way to generate revenue, pure and simple. There's 100,000 points we could both make on this. But I think largely we both kind of agree with each other. There's some points we diverge from each other. Got any questions, man? Feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer them the best I can. If you'd like it, I still have my old copy of the Texas State Vehicle Code. I'm happy to stick it in the mailbox for you. I don't use it anymore. Up here in Alabama, I don't give me much use. Anyway, you drive safe, buddy, and God bless you.